Ladies and gentlemen, this is Scary Bad Reviews, and this is my intro.
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
So, as you could probably tell from your calendar, this is not October 3rd, this is October 4th, but I am recording this as my review for October 3rd. We had a away trip yesterday, so I was on the road. I could not get an instance to be able to record, but I'll be posting this video, and then also later on tonight I'll be posting a video for October 4th. So if you want to just kind of reset your head clock back to October 3rd, the movie that I was covering for October 3rd was the original Fright Night from 1985, just kind of pushing forward in our vampire week, looking at a situation where a vampire is set within a more modern society. This is set in 85. It is a present day movie. A high schooler who is obsessed with horror movies and horror TV shows and things like that, just going through normal high school things, trying to figure out his relationship, things about, becoming a man and stuff like that, being kind of an outcast. He starts to realize that his new next door neighbor is a vampire, so he's doing everything that he can to kind of get him out. Deal with him, noticing that there's problems within the neighborhood because of the fact that he's a vampire. The movie is actually a lot of fun. I forgot about how much fun it was. I haven't watched this movie in a very, very long time. It's probably been like 7 or 8 years since I saw it. This movie's really funny. I mean, it is horror comedy. I'll give it that edge. Some of the vampire scenes do give it an edge on a horror comedy rather than a black comedy or a dark comedy. It really does play up a lot of the aspects of vampires that we've seen in the lore of the two Draculas that we watched. It also brings in a couple of them that we haven't heard before. There is a scene in this that kind of highlights that vampires cannot come in unless they're invited in. There's also a storyline and a plot point of where if you defeat a vampire before a victim fully transforms, then that victim will not become a vampire. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think that's very accurate. You don't really see that very many other places. Usually when you get bit by a vampire, it's not necessarily always an instant process, but it's usually a pretty rapid process. It does not take, multiple days. You cannot save someone from it. But overall, within the movie, I give this movie a 7.5. I think that it really captures almost like the Ferris Bueller style of 80s, comedy, really just off the wall kind of zany stuff. There's some great performances in it. The vampire hunter Vincent that we get, he's awesome, he's funny, kind of just this back and forth between being a coward and finally embracing his character from his TV show Fright Night and being, brave and actually becoming a vampire hunter. The performance of the vampire was great. It kind of plays in to all of this. Overall, I don't think there's a ton to talk about with this movie. It's pretty straightforward in that it's like a kid that's just trying to cleanse his neighborhood of a vampire. I did have a lot of fun watching it. It is a really good time. It does a very good job at blending just comedic moments in between. I'm not a huge fan of the remake. They had a remake that was, I think, 2011 or 2012 or somewhere within there, and I'm not a huge fan of that one. I have seen it, and I don't think it captures the same kind of charisma and the same kind of comedic value that the original does. It's definitely a good Halloween watch. It's definitely a lot of fun to sit down and really just, get a good couple laughs while still pertaining to classic horror movie stuff. And it is kind of cool to see a vampire in a modern setting. He definitely plays against some of the aspects of living in this tight-knit neighborhood, a cul-de-sac style neighborhood, and seeing someone come in and have some of the aspects of being a vampire and how apparent it could be if you know what you're talking about. That's another cool dynamic of it too, in that a horror fan would be able to easily identify if something's going wrong in their neighborhood, but everyone else around him just seems oblivious or seems giving excuses for the situation. I definitely think it highlighted that very well, and that we all know, oh, hey, that person does this, 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 and this, so they're probably a vampire. But yeah, I gave it a 7.5. I think it is really goofy. It is really funny. It does a good job at highlighting horror aspects while maintaining its humor throughout the movie. It's a great Halloween watch. It's a great watch to just kind of sit around, and you could even get away with it being a family night movie. If you have kids that are probably about like 10, 11 years old and up, I think you could get away with it. Maybe a little even older than that, maybe like 12 or 13, but I still think you could get away with it. It's really funny. It's a good, it really captures the aura of the season. And yeah, I really enjoyed getting to go back and watch it and having a good couple laughs here and there.
Yeah, this big brain time.
So that is it for this late edition of the October 3rd episode. I do apologize for that. Just, as always, if you like what I'm saying, like and subscribe. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions. The October 4th episode will be focusing on the 80s movie The Lost Boys. Again, just really seeing how vampires starting to fit into a modern society, and vampires movies really starting to take place and highlight some of the issues that a vampire would have in the modern day. This one is also notorious for involving kind of a lot of 80s elements and like fashion and societal aspects and expectations and things like that. So I really do enjoy this one and some of the implications that it has even for vampires. So yeah, stay tuned to hear that, and thanks for listening.